My sister Melanie and I are very close. I would say when she's one of my very best friends, and it's pretty sweet. But there was a point in high school where I almost lost her as a friend, and where our paths were like, pshoom. So I'm from the 70s and 80s, and my folks split up somewhere in the middle of the 80s. I'm from another dimension. And my folks split up in the 80s, and then they just started sowing their wild oats and cuckoo birds. And so when I was 11, I started getting hella drunk and smoking cigarettes and smoking weed. I mean, I was like a nightmare, but I had a really good time. And I started out young because I had zero supervision, and I had a great time. But my sister kind of dabbled in that stuff. It was just wasn't for her. She was like, I think we're too young for this. And so somewhere along the line, so we were living with my dad. My mom was out somewhere in the Caribbean, and who knows what happened to her. And then years were going by. I was stealing cars, all these things. I was getting into trouble, and my sister was like, I need to not do that. And so we were just changing. And, divorce can be really rough, guys. Okay. But at some point, my mom came and swooped us up out of Florida and took us back to Portland. And thank God. And we got back home, which is where we're from here, and my sister really got on the straight path. And I was like, where are my smokers? Where are my smokers at? I need my people. I need to do drugs, and keep being a bad kid. Just do drugs. So it happened. I found my people, and that was in Milwaukee High School. And if you're ever trying to find the bad kids, just look for the smoking tree, and that's where your people will be. But anyway, I got in with a bad crowd, a really fun bad crowd, and I just got more and more out of control. And my sister was like, I'm gonna go to college. Like, please get off the roof. Like it was like a very different experience of. She was just like, please stop ruining my life by ruining your life, and we were just like, she started to hate my guts, and at one point my mom pulled me aside and she didn't know I was being out of control, but she just said, I don't know what's up with you and Melanie, but she asked me if she ever has to speak to you again, and I was like, did you tell her yes? But it was bad, and she can hold a grudge. So anyway. This one day, a day in the life was much like this, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna fry tonight, which is 80s speak for acid. They don't say it now; they say cooler words. But I was like, we're gonna fry tonight, and I got with my crew, and the end of the 80s. I'm not that old. Anyway, I got with my crew, and this was a bad crew. Like I was just like following the lead. But these for example, that day, second period is over, and we're out smoking pot in a car behind the drama room. I'm 14, just so we're clear, very young and very cool. But we're smoking pot in this car. It's like hot box. It's like smoke. You can't see, except we see this figure go by and then come back by. And it was Mr. Carlisle, the choir teacher, and he comes and knocks on the window. And I was like, oh, God. And the dude I was hanging out with just did out of the movies, just turned up the radio and was like, can't hear you. And drove off. And I was like, what is my life? Cool, just what are we doing? And so that was the beginning of this one special day. And somewhere at lunch, I found my friend Leslie, who was like my hero. She was so cool, and she would do anything. And we had a song. We'd be like, going to the river, and we're gonna get hammered. She was a really good influence. So that day we fry. And by that I mean we just got some acid, and we just went. What we always did was we just take it and sit in the Denny's parking lot. It's not a lot of options in Clackamas. So we were there for hours, and we're tripping balls, and it's fun, and we're talking about important things that teenagers talk about. And at some point, Leslie's like, well, let's go home. My mom's gone. We can chill out there. And these two guys we were with, one of them was kind of cute, and that mattered to me then. And so we went back to Leslie's house, and it's like this long country road, and that was super fun. We're just driving, you know how it is. Not a lot of people do. That's fine. Whatever you think acid feels like, that's what it feels like. If you're like, woo, that's what it is. Anyway. tripping balls. We drove out to Leslie's house down this long, and finally we get down to the bottom of the hill where her house is, and her mom's car's in the driveway, and all the lights are on. It's like 10 o'clock on a school night, and we're just like, what do we do? And so we sat at the top of the hill, and we're just smoking, and we're like, what do we do? And she's like, we gotta go in. We gotta go in. And I was like, well, okay. And so we go in, and Leslie's mom is just hanging out, just chilling out. She wasn't mad, and we're like, what's going on? And Leslie's like, sorry, I'm late. She's like, you gotta stop smoking those cigarettes. You smell terrible, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, okay, cool. And me and the dudes just kind of sink into the couch, and we're like, this is okay. It's okay. It's okay. And then, we're having a normal conversation. And then at some point, Leslie can't control it and just starts saying things like, to her mom, like she was like, did you have a nice day? Which would be for a normal person was like, yeah, how was your day? But she looked over like she's killing it. She's like, huh? Talking to my mom. Yeah. And then a lot of things are going on, and finally at some point, and her mom's like, you're acting funny. And she's like, are you drinking? And you've been drinking? And she smells her breath. No, there's no drinking. And finally, the big giveaway is Leslie has her head in the pantry, and she just keeps slowly closing it on her neck. And then her mom is like, honey, come here. And we're all in this main room, and she's like, come here. Boys, what is going on with Leslie? What's happening? Is she drunk or not? And she turns to her mom and she says, Mom, I'm on a much higher plane than that. And turns back to me like, fucking nailed that, didn't I? I was like, no, not good. No, not good. And then her mom then everything shifts, and her mom's like, oh, I see what it is. And then she goes right to the phone. She calls my mom. It's 2 a.m. at this point. I don't know how this happened. She calls my mom, and she's like, great, yep, okay. So my mom's coming. Mom's coming out. Her mom's fucking with us now. She's like, so how are you guys doing? And I was like, how does she know about that? And she like, and honest to God, at one point they had like a globe, like a Benetton glow-up globe, and she was like, here's the world, Kirsten. And I was like, it's so big. Like, what, how does she know? That was the thing. Anyways, my mom pulls up with my sister in the car. It's 2 or something, I don't know, very late in the morning night, and she's like, bye, have fun. And I go out the front door, they're dead silent, and my sister's just fucking, she got pulled out of bed on a school night to come get me on some dirt country road, and it's just like, ew. And I get in the back of the car, and then we start driving back to Milwaukee, and we're just like quiet, and the moon is out, the clouds are beautiful, and I forget that I'm in trouble, and and it's just like the roads are just, there's something, if you do have to take acid in your life, do go on a country road, because it is amazing. And we're just like, and I'm in the back, and I was like, I love these two people so much. And then I say out loud, this is nice. And my sister lost her shit and started laughing her ass off. And we've been friends ever since. Okay.
Nothing to get home.